You can start.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I greet everyone in the universal greeting of peace and blessings. And I must say thank you firstly to IIU for this wonderful opportunity. But before I carry on, let me first tell you a little bit more about IIU, and that is the International Internship University. The IIU International Internship University is a leading virtual education system and a global brand confederation, which is the most valuable and trusted worldwide and well-reputed in delivering innovative programs. Globally, it is a trusted name for quality training programs and is committed to providing better and virtual education to all the young learners of the globe. In a short span of time, the IIU has spread its wings in 195 countries, 6 continents, under the strong leadership of its visionary founder, Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, a committed and inspiring social activist, a passionate educationist from the last 2 decades, providing education to students from various school, social, and cultural backgrounds. Mr. Piyush Pandit sir, thank you so much for all you are doing. Thank you, IIU, and it is my absolute honor to be an honored professor of education with IIU and also to present programs such as these today so that we can help to make that small, if not big, difference in someone's life that makes a positive change for them. So thank you to IIU for this opportunity today, and thank you so much for you all for taking the time out to listen to us on this discussion that we're having. And we are discussing today something that's very important, something that I'm very passionate about, and that is the holistic multidisciplinary education in today's world. So the one thing I'm very keen on doing every time a topic comes up is always trying to break things down a little bit further. And that makes it easier for us to understand why we're discussing specific things. So if a topic like this one, I like to break it down so we really do understand what do we mean by holistic education? What do we mean by multidisciplinary education? And what do we mean by today's world? What's so different? So when we break it down to understand it better, we'll be able to implement the changes that are needed. Because remember, the training programs, for example, that I give or that you hear on IIU or any other platform for that matter, are not merely just for us to talk about. They're actually for us to implement. So it's a prayer that what we speak about, what I give off, will be something that somebody will be able to make the change within their specific environment or in their home or in their school or in their lives. So it's all about action. It's all about being actively involved and taking what we give off to make that difference. Let us talk firstly about today's world. What exactly is so different? Why would we want to change anything? Today's world is so rife with emotional upheaval. There's issues with children, there's issues with adults, there's issues with our youth, there's issues with governments, there's issues with every organization, there's corruption across the globe, there's emotional upheaval in the sense of not knowing where to go to next. There's lack of self-esteem, there's lack of self-confidence. Our children, the educational systems across the globe, lots of issues in the system itself. So why then will we want to look at holistic and multidisciplinary? Let's talk a little bit about the holistic, because this is where my passion falls. Holistic development for me is just that. As much as the word is holistic, for me, it engulfs the whole. Making our children feel whole, making ourselves feel whole. The holistic development is the social, is the mental, is the emotional, is the physical, all of this put together, but it's the growth of the person. That's what holistic development means. And it's an important focus area in early childhood. And that's my belief. Because in the early childhood education and care, if we develop this, children will then develop more rapidly and more holistically. Let's, for example, take into consideration a baby versus a child who's 5 years old. That 5-year-old child is able to absorb a little bit more that we will have to give off than the baby, correct? So if we have to look then at an adult in today's world, as our topic says, adults in today's world have had so many difficulties after school, in school, If you look back on, if you're an adult watching this, and if you look back in your schooling career, how many issues have you had which entailed you either failing something difficult or going through something difficult mentally, emotionally, and not being able to know how to cope with it? And then when these negatives hit you, it's the only time that you are able to start to feel, I need help, or look for that kind of help. And I'm saying, why do we have to wait until that happens as adults when we can actually inculcate in the educational system at the early stages with our children at the early ages of 5 and 6 years old, when they can rapidly absorb little bits of education and life orientation and life skills, grow them, because we have to learn that in the early educational system and early educational and early childhood, we will be able to officially show them critical opportunities of how to holistically develop themselves, how to cope with certain differences that will happen in their lives, how to cope with whatever comes, what may. What is it that they can do to make it easier for themselves when it happens? Why do we have to wait for that child to grow up to experience the pain or the anguish for them only to learn, okay, I'm feeling pain now, what do I do? Let's give them these skills from the onset. Let's show them that it's okay from the beginning to not be okay. And why would I say holistic education? Why will I say holistic? When a child's education focuses only on the development of academic skills, for me, in my opinion, it ignores many other areas of growth for that child. If children, for example, are sitting in your classroom and you're an educator and they're sitting at their desks, and you say to the child, lift up both your hands, the child's going to do it, correct? If you're going to say, as you're sitting at your desk, tap your feet onto the floor, your children are going to do it, correct? Now compare that to taking the child outside into the field, into the ground, into the playground, and telling them to run, to jump, stamp your feet. Is that not two different methods of doing the exact same thing? But what does it do to the mind of the child? What does it do to the mental state of the child? That mental ability actually grows. It grows into being happier. It grows into being healthier. Why? Because that works with the age group. That works with the developmental age fathom of the child at that time, at that stage. So when we take this holistic approach, the child is then treated as a person. It does not mean that we're saying the child has to be an adult. No, we're teaching at the level of the child. This means that no aspect of their development or their learning gets ignored. And instead, we have the educators also becoming more in tune with the child and the child being more in tune with the educator, which will determine how they can foster each other's learning curves, how they can work together to be able to get to the more positive result. And when I say result, I'm not talking about just a report card. I'm not talking about just the academic result. I'm talking about the holistic result, the positives of the child. Because when we consider holistic development in early education, you'll see that this child is this whole person that we are working with, and they are young people who have different needs than adults. When we learn to understand our children in the different age groups, when you study psychology or developmental psychology, obviously, if you have done this, you will know that in these different age groups, the learning adaptation differs. And that is what is key. But when we are looking at holistic education and we start off holistic education at the early ages, at the early stages of education, it makes it easier then to engulf it in the system in those other segments of age groups that are defined when we're studying psychology and how to develop the mind. So, for example, that same concept of sitting down, when you tell the child, sit down to eat, and it's just strategic where you sit down and here's your food and you just have to eat at your desk and that's it. As opposed to going to sit, let's all sit together in the little, at the table outside with the teacher, with a few of your class friends, you're engulfing what is encompassed as a family eating. So it's not such a such an odd thing for the child to have to go home and be told we have to sit like this. We're sitting as a family to eat. And that in itself then grows with the child. It grows the family unit as well. Because remember, right now we're lacking that. We're lacking that when we look at our children. Our children right now are so into technology. They're so into finding another means of being entertained. Why? Because their parents or the adults around them are so engulfed in the rat race of life that they don't have the time. They don't have the time or the energy or even the skills maybe to sit with the child of today's world, and actually have a conversation. If you're a parent, I'm asking you right now, when was the last time you sat with your child and actually asked them, so what is going on at school? What's your latest development at school? And I'm talking about the child's development. I'm talking about, did you make any new friends? Have you had any issues with any of your old friends? How are the teachers currently? Do you know what is your child's favorite subject or worst subject? Do you know who's your child's favorite teacher? Do you know who's the child's worst teacher? What are the problems that are happening in the school? Does the child speak to you? Do you speak to your child? So these are little but very important things. So as some people might find it very minute and say, why are we even bothering when the children are so busy? No, children love attention. It's what is key. And what is attention? Attention is time. You need to give that time to the child. And that's what holistic approach does. Holistic approach from an educator gives the child that time, that attention span. So when the educator lets the children practice their different skills in this holistic developmental stage, it also helps this child to develop their confidence. Let's look at an example. In your general classroom, you would have a child that does not reach or do very well in a specific subject, or as well as one of their friends does in the class, correct? So, I mean, every child in every classroom is not the same. So that specific child is being given a test. So today we have a test. All of our children are writing this test. And when the results come, you have one child who does very good and one child who does average and the other who does not so good, bad. That child is, however, very good at athletics, while the child who has done excellently in that subject is not good in athletics. Now, what happens if we focus purely on the academic in the classroom? It happens to be that we make the child who's done badly in that academic subject lose the sight of the fact that he's good in another field. He's good in another area of development. That child is going to start to feel bad about himself or herself. And that is going to make them lack self-confidence. They're going to lack the self-esteem. They're not going to be able to utilize the strength that they actually have in that other area of athletics, for an example, anymore, because they're going to feel, well, I'm already behind this friend of mine or this person in the classroom anyway, so why should I bother in the next area? Most importantly, they're not going to be able to see that they're good at another thing, they can be good at anything else. They're going to constantly be comparing themselves in this competitive, negative manner with other children in the classroom. And that's going to create issues in the mental area. We need to understand our children are children, and they need to be seen as who they are holistically. They need to be loved holistically. That child needs to be taught that if you did badly here, all we need to do is find which area you are weak in and we'll work together with you, so that they don't feel that they are behind the balance. And teachers are the ones who are trained to understand the milestones of this holistic development. They are. But because syllabus and governments around the world dictate that we have to have certain data, we have to have specific statistics to show syllabus is finished. Certain stats must show that a specific school has done so well in specific subjects, that we have matrics that are done with 100% pass rates from a specific school. We're forgetting that the children are children. We forget that our youth are youth. They are developing, and every one of them is not the same. So from a very young age, children need to be a part of what is around them. They don't need to feel outside of your circle. And I always say this in the youth development programs that I do. Do not just merely, when you have a youth group, for example, let's just say you have a group of 10 youth. Can you picture, on the one hand, I go to them and I say to them, here's what I wish for you to do. This is the project. This is what the outcome needs to be. I want it done in this way, A, B, C, and D. And I give them what the method is. I want to know, I want to dictate how they have to do it, and I want the result the way I want it done. As opposed to me taking my group of 10 children, youth, and I go to them and I say, here's my topic, here's the project I'm giving you. This is what the result is that I'm looking for. But how are you going to do it as the 10 of you put together as a team is up to you, as long as I get my result. What am I doing to the mindset of those youth, those 10 youth? Am I not showing them that I have, firstly, confidence in them already before they even start the task? Am I not teaching them that they have the capability already before they even start doing the project? This is why we need to inculcate already that holistic development in our children. Because when we do this, we actually showing them that we have confidence in them, building their own self-confidence. We can make them participate, for example, in school gatherings, have little school children's meetings where we ask them, what do they think about specific things or topics? What do they feel about how we can make certain changes? The children must be able to discuss different matters. And in certain instances, maybe even vote on certain issues that directly affect them, whether it's in the school environment, whether it's in the little classroom environment, or even if it's a little game thing at home, where you have more than one child. Let your children vote in what do they think would work, what do they think will not work. Because this gives them the platform that they need to grow in who they are and develop and know that whatever they think, whatever they feel is good. It helps with their self-development. It helps with their education. It helps to build their emotional skills, their social skills, their physical and intellectual well-being, all of this holistically. And remember, when you are doing this alongside the academic development. So it's not to say that we are doing the holistic development and we're focusing on the emotion, etc. We are dropping the academics. No. What we are saying is we need to make sure that the both academia and holistic emotional self-development of the child grows together. They marry into each other because that's what we want for our children. We need to encourage our children to play active roles because remember, their lives are their journey. And on that journey, you're not going to be there all the time to remedy situations, to make things better. They need to learn these remedies for themselves. They need to learn and engage. So why is the sense of participation so important? Why is the sense of getting the child's view more important? Because it's important for their self-development. It's important for them to know they have a sense of identity, that their sense of well-being is important. And we are asking how they're feeling because we love them, because we want them to feel that love, because we want them to know that we know how important they are to us. And I can't stress enough that holistic education and this approach also helps the teacher. Because we must remember the teachers nowadays have to face more than one task of being a teacher. A teacher in today's classroom has now got to be the doctor, the psychologist, a psychiatrist sometimes, the police officer who makes sure that everything is okay, all over and above being the teacher who has to make sure that the syllabus is met, the criteria for the syllabus is met. But when we engulf holistic education into the system, our teachers are going to be able to focus on helping the children see this big picture, as opposed to just the small one that they're facing in a classroom. The teachers will then be able to provide opportunities for our children. And this, of course, is not going to be just one skill or one academic subject. It's going to be a variety of skills. And this is going to make our children know that it's not just one skill that makes me me. I can be good at one and bad at one, but it's still okay because I'm still good at the one that I can focus on. Now, remember, Our children require that stimulation all the time. Our children require us to motivate them all the time. So when we want to talk about mathematics, for example, maths is a subject some of the children are born into environments thinking maths is a big no. I'm not good at maths. Before they even begin knowing what mathematics is about, it's a big no in the mind already. Why do we do that to our children? Why do our children feel like maths and science and engineering, etc., are subjects that are taboo, so to speak? Let's engulf holistically into a child at a young age. Why maths is important. What would you do as an educator to show your child or the child in your class how to do something mathematically, but without being in the classroom, yet still absorbing or learning maths? Take, for example, counting. If we put in holistic education as a system, and we want to teach mathematics at the early ages, we will teach our children. Let's take them outside. This group of kids is going to find the stones. That group of kids is going to find wood pieces, and let's collect them. So I want 10 of each in each of these groups. So we are dividing our kids. They're going to do this. They're going to pick up 10 stones or 20 stones and 10 branches or pieces of wood. What have we done with our children? We've altered the sense of just the sitting at a desk mathematics, plus and minus, subtraction and addition, into being this playful, amazing process of understanding why it is I need to have the skill of addition and maths. Why is it so important in my real life? They will then be able to go pass a robot in the car with mom and dad on a weekend and look at that robot and say, wow, there's 3 colors there, and that's counting 3. They've absorbed what the colors are. That's the colors there for you. And when they're sitting or they're watching bricks being laid somewhere, they count that for you. But that's because of the way it was being taught to them. So they start to realize maths is actually not just for the classroom. Maths is something I need to do in my daily life. It works. It works for me because I need to learn every day. I need to be able to use it every day. So what have we done? We've taken off the taboo about maths, and we've said to the child, you're going to learn to need maths on a daily basis. And from day one, that child is going to want to apply the mathematic rule, and they're going to love maths. We've altered just one thing, the way in which it's being taught and the change of the mindset about the subject. That together is that one thing that we've altered. And together it makes that biggest difference for how the child approaches the subject later on. Now remember, when it comes to our children, good communication and interaction skills is crucial for our children, because that will help them to build their interrelationships, be it with their fellow students, be it at home, be it with their fellow kids around the communities, but it also helps to build their identity. When they are able to voice themselves, like I spoke about earlier, when they are able to communicate better, they are able to actually get their messages across. That promotes their well-being. That promotes their overall performance. That self-confidence and self-esteem over time will broaden their view about the world, about life, about things, about people. So they wouldn't have this closed box-minded approach about everything and everyone around them. They would have this, I accept and respect everything and everyone, from an animal to what is around the earth, to education, my teacher, my family, fellow people around me, every different nation, every different culture. I will learn to respect this. Why? Because there is this good interaction skill, there's good communication, there's an acceptance of who they are. So they will learn, alternatively, they would also learn to accept others for who they are. That is key and what is missing in today's life, in today's world. Our children are being brought up with barriers that are not theirs. You put children from different race groups and different cultures, little ones, toddlers, into a ring, play ring, be it different culture, different race, different whatever. Put 20 of them into a play ring. Do you think that they are seeing the different culture? Do you think that they are seeing the different race? Do you think that they are seeing the different skin color? No, but they will be playing together so beautifully, so holistically, that it will make you wonder about where do the barriers come from? Who inculcates these barriers for them? Why do they have the barriers? Because those barriers are what creates the disrespect of the child as they grow into the high school levels, the varsity levels, the world itself. We need our children to learn and to know that in order to be able to interact, it's important for them to understand their own backgrounds properly. They have to be able to understand and respect everyone else's backgrounds too, because that's what the world is about, respecting each other, growing together. And with holistic development in mind, the teachers can actually be intentional about helping this child develop that sense of cultural identity even further, but with a focus of cultural backgrounds of themselves with their heritage. So it's not to say that if you have 20 kids in a class that are all different cultures, we're not going to respect each other. That teacher, if we have holistic education that allows for that respect, will be able to teach each child to respect the next child's culture and heritage, and they will be able to grow together in this way. There is where we have to pause and understand that nowadays our children grow and develop in the cultural, linguistic, and in the socially complex world that we have. That's why I say in the topic you'll find we said today's world, because that's what today's world is. It's complex. It's socially complex. It's linguistically complex. It is culturally complex. By whom? Who's created this complexity? Who's created the issues that we're having across the world globally? Yet how often has even IIU and other global organizations had fantastic virtual get-togethers where we'd see youth and children come together from different parts of the world, different cultures, different backgrounds, and embrace each other on these virtual platforms. And you would find that they have the same mentality, the same urge to grow together, the same urge to want to work together, to build their own abilities, to grow as one. Let us break down those barriers, and we can do it via education. This is where we would come to the multidisciplinary approach to education. Remember, we said today's topic, holistic multidisciplinary education in today's world. That multidisciplinary education can now come into play. Multidisciplined, why? Why does anyone have to be stuck in a specific role only for the rest of their lives? And I'm passionate about that because I know me. I'm speaking from my own experience. I wanted to be a doctor as in a GP. And then I studied for it at school level, mind you. The sciences, the everything. And then I said, no, wait, I wanted to be a lawyer. So I studied for that at university level. And sitting behind that desk while doing internship, et cetera, I didn't get to complete it because I was just not happy within me until I tapped into psychology. And there is when I started to find weight. I'm starting to feel happy with this within myself. Now I'm sitting today, yes, with a lot about me, with many certificates. I'm sitting with multiple awards. Thank you to my creator, and thank you to everyone who's recognized that. But the reason I'm saying this is because I'm talking from experience that being multidisciplined is actually to your advantage. So now I can wear a legal cap if I need to wear one. I can wear the educational cap if I need to wear one. I can wear the psychological cap if I need to wear one. I can wear the life coach cap when I need to wear it. Whatever be the sphere that I am sitting in, whatever be the boardroom that I am faced in or faced with, I am able to categorize and able to pull it off. Why? Because I am multidisciplined. I have got all of these different backgrounds to me, be it legal, be it economics, be it psychological, be it educational. I have touched on every sphere that I wanted to, and I am still learning. I am personally a lifelong learner. I think until my demise, I will continue to grow myself educationally because it is my passion to learn. And learning every field that I can encourages me to develop myself, me as a self, to grow me to better my skills at different things all the time. So this multidisciplinary approach is not just my talking here. It is what I know works. It's what I know can bring out the best of every single one of us, where you can know I can be good at this, I can be bad at this. So what I'm bad at, I can learn more later. What I'm good at, I'm going to push forward with until I get it to be mastered. And then I'll go to what I was bad at and I will get back to that. I will learn it because it's my growth. It's my self-development. This approach is a method that we can use in our curriculums across the globe, and it will highlight this diversity that I'm talking about. It will highlight these perspectives that I'm talking about, where the different disciplines can bring about a more holistic me. That is why today's topic for me is rife. It is beautiful, because the holistic, multidisciplinary educational system of today's world is me as a person. I see me because it worked for me. The holistic educational system, which I learned very late, and I wished it was there in my early schooling years, which is why I'm saying if we can put it into our systems across the globe now for our children, it will work to help our children develop themselves earlier as opposed to later. And that makes then the decisions they have to make about their disciplinary approaches to their educations and their tertiary education much easier. They will be able to find out what is my passion sooner. Why wait until later? What am I really good at? They can find that out sooner. It will help with the multiple disciplines which can be used to study specific topics. And yes, there are multiple disciplines that can be used. So this approach to the curriculum that I'm talking about focuses on different disciplines, but also brings about the fact that you can learn so many different avenues of different things and yet still engage to be the best you can be in one of them. So right now, today, I am your educator. In 2 hours from now, I have a consultation with somebody who's going to be my client from a psychological perspective. So I can run into the 3 disciplines within one day. By God's creation, yes, thank you so much, but to my creator for me being able to do that. But so can you. And that is why I'm saying the multidisciplinary approach works. Let us not make our children become so engulfed in just the box method that you need to be good at just this one thing. You need to do A, B, and C. Our children are not there to live our dreams. Our children are there to develop their own, to grow their own individualities, to become the best of who they can be. This is why I wish to say this to everybody who's listening. We need to understand that our children are our gifts. But before that, they look at us as sponges. Everything that we do, everything that we say, how we react to certain things, how we do not react to some things, every single thing, they sponge off it. They sponge off it. They quietly observe everything about you as the adult. So you as the adult need to be very, very much aware of how it is that you are living your life. How is it that you are taking in the negatives that the world is throwing at you, because your child or the children around you are watching this reaction and they're learning from you. They're learning from you. So when we talk education, I want us to realize that as much as we focus so much on the educator being the teacher in a classroom, you as a parent are also an educator. You as a parent are also someone that child is learning from. You as the parent or the sibling even to a child is someone the child younger is learning from. Each one of us is learning from each other every day. I right now am learning from my daughter. I learn from my community members. I learn from my mom. Still till today, there's none of us that know everything. We will continue to be learning, but we need to respect that learning curve and know that that learning from every one of people around us, from elders to those that are young. Remember, when you are around people, people are who you learn from. Observation of people is a learning curve on its own. But you need to develop you as an individual so that others can learn of you too. So when we talk holistic, multidisciplinary education, it's not just sticking to a school or tertiary system. We're talking about you as a person. You as a person right now, I'm appealing to you. I'm saying to you, or can I ask you just one question? Are you aware of which school is nearest to you as an individual in a community right now? Are you aware of how many kids there are in your little community around you? Are you aware of what the school nearest to you needs or is in need of to make it a little bit better? If you're a parent listening to me, are you aware of what the school that your child is going to is in need of to make it a better school? Have you spoken with the teacher, or when last did you speak to the teacher of the child that you have in your care as the guardian or as the parent? Are we aware? And I'm mentioning the sense of awareness because I want to leave you today with the 3 A's that I teach, and I really, really believe that if each one of us does the 3A system, each one of us can make that small difference that will make the big difference for everybody else. What are these 3 A's? The number 1 A is for assessment. Sit now, answer the questions that I have just posed to you. That is the assessment in itself. Assess you as a self, assess your environment, assess those around you. Do your assessment, do your homework. That brings you to the second A, which is what I've spoke about now, that sense of awareness. So once you do the assessment and you are clearly now aware of what it is, I've done the assessment. I've assessed my home, myself, my family. I've assessed the school. I've assessed my community. I've assessed our surroundings. I have now become aware of what is lacking, what is too much. I've now become aware of what is good and what's bad. I've become aware of what changes I need to make first for myself, what is needed for my child, what is needed for the children, for the school. I'm aware of all of these things. That brings you to the third A, and that is the A for advance. Now it's time to bring into action what is needed to bring the advancement of those assessments and awareness tools that you just pulled together. So what can I do to advance things? What can I do to advance myself? What can I do to advance my child? What can I do to advance the children of the school? What can I do to advance the teaching methods at the school or help the teacher? What can I do to advance the school or the school itself? What can I do in my individual capacity to advance and make a difference in my home, in my surroundings, and my community? The 3 A's, remember them. The first A is for assessment. The second A is for awareness. The third A is for advance, because that is key. And that's just not key to today's topic. That's key to you as a person. So if you take these 3 A's and you develop yourself with knowing and investing in yourself with the 3 A's, and I say it because that is exactly what it's about. It's about you literally investing in you, investing in your surroundings, investing in your child. And that investment is not costing you money. It is costing you a little bit of time. It's costing you a little bit of effort, but it's going to make the biggest of differences. So do the assessment on you as a self, you as a person, you as an individual. Do the assessment of your child. Do the assessment of your surroundings, your community, the schools. Become aware of you as a person. Become more aware of what it is about you you wish to change. Become aware of your child, what your child is lacking, what your child loves. Become aware of your child in school, the teacher. Who does your child love? Who does your child not like? In school, at school, what is going on in school? Become aware and then advance. Grow through each of these. Grow through them. Advance you, advance your child, advance your community. It is up to each one of us in our individual capacities to make the differences we wish to see and be. So remember, it's up to each of us to make that change, to be the change. So I'm saying to you, do the 3 A's for you first. Do the 3 A's for your child. Do the 3 A's around you. And let us start with each one of us that makes the difference. We can each make that difference because we can each definitely make the change for the world. A better home brings about a better community. And that better community will build the next one and the next one. And those combined communities builds a great, fantastic society. Building better societies. Together, those societies will build a fantastic nation. That's what we need across the globe. It starts with each one of us. So are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to make your 3 A's happen for you? I bid you farewell now, and I take this opportunity to say thank you to IIU. Thank you so much again for the opportunity, for the platform, and thank you for you taking the time out to listen to me. I hope I've made a significant change to each one, or at least to someone's life, with the words that I've just spoken, and I'm hoping to see you all again soon. I greet you all in the universal greeting of peace with blessings. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, IIU, and thank you to the moderator as well.